Hello, and welcome to today's NEASC Forum, Fostering Positive School Culture for Staff Retention. My name is Carl Johnson, Associate Director here at NEASC. I'm joined by my colleague, Allison Geary, who will moderate our panel today. We are so glad you are able to join us today for this important conversation. Today, we are humbled to have our panel joining us from Turkey, as well as Connecticut, Maine, and Massachusetts in the United States. They will each have a chance to introduce themselves shortly. Now, I'll turn it over to Allison to get us started.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here with you today. My name is Allison Geary, and I'm a Director for Accreditation and School Improvement for the Public Schools at NEASC. I'm very happy to be joined by our panel of presenters, and I want to start by asking them to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about the context of the school in which they work. So let's start with Özge.
Hello, everyone. This is Özge Gültekin. I work as a high school vice principal at Hisar Schools, Istanbul, Turkey. I'm originally a math teacher, and I've been working in the field for 28 years, and I had roles as teaching and leadership as well. I'm also a member of ECIS Math Special Interest Group, and I work as a volunteer teacher at Hisar Professional Learning Center, where my colleague Nilüfer is going to tell you about, and she coordinates the center for the last 3 years.
Wonderful.
Thank you again. Welcome.
Thank you. Nilüfer?
Hello from Istanbul, Hisar School. My name is Nilüfer. Originally, I am also a math teacher. This is my 18th year at Hisar School. Throughout my career, I've taken on various roles, such as curriculum development, teaching math, high school vice principal, and part-time instructor at the university. For the past 4 years, as Özge mentioned, I've been serving as the head of Professional Learning Center at Hisar School. Hisar School is located in Istanbul and provides education from preschool to 12th grade. It has more than 1,600 students and over 200 academic staff, including both national and international teachers. Our students are Turkish. Although Hisar School is not an international school, we aim to educate our students as global citizens. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you very much. Chris?
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Sanford. I'm the head of school at the Woodstock Academy, which is in Connecticut. I do see a lot of Connecticut people on here, which is pretty awesome. We are 1,100 students we have. Out of that, 185 are boarders. They are both domestic and international. We are a town academy, which is a very unique school. There's only 22 of us in the entire country. I'm excited to be here today. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And then I also am a big LinkedIn person, so definitely hook up with me on LinkedIn if you can find me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Tad?
Hi, my name is Tad Tokars. I'm the principal of Springfield Central High School in Springfield, Massachusetts. This is my 24th year as an administrator here at Central. I was assistant for 7 years, assistant principal, and now this is my 17th year as the head principal. We have over 200 staff members, around 2,100 students. We're an inner city school with 95% free and reduced lunch. We have 25 different languages spoken in the building. Demographically, 65% of our students are Hispanic, roughly 20% are African American, 10% white, and we have a large other population from all over the world. So I'm excited to share some of the things that we've been doing to retain our staff and build a culture that I think exceeds most schools throughout the country.
Wonderful. Thank you. And last, Jen.
Hi, welcome, everyone. My name is Jen Labozo, and I am working at Hyde School. I'm currently the Dean of Faculty. I've been at Hyde for 13 years, and for anyone who's just familiar with the independent boarding school system, I started as just a very green and new teacher and a triple threat, which maybe we'll touch upon today in the hiring discussion. But we are a very small school. We have about 138 students currently. 48% of which are international from about 14 different countries as well, and the rest are domestic. And I look forward to meeting and chatting with everyone this morning. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, let's start out with the first question. We have a few questions that we've lined up to speak with you about today. If you have questions for the panelists, please use the Q&A feature to ask the questions rather than the chat. In the chat, we'll share resources and ideas, and you're welcome to make comments. But if you have a specific question, if you could share that in the Q&A, that would be helpful. So let's start out with our first question. What are some key practices, concrete examples, and real-life success stories for building and maintaining a positive culture in your school? And Jen, I'm going to start out with you for this question.
Yeah, of course. This is something that we're a younger school. We were founded in 1966, but our school has a real strong focus on character education, which now we see in education in the United States a real shift to the social emotional learning component, and that's something we do every day. And so we really work to create a student peer culture and a school community culture by design. And we do that we have a core principle, which is to develop character, to discover unique potential. And we do that with a common set language or lexicon that we use in our day-to-day. And that's with our 5 words and our 5 principles. And these are things that aren't just written on a poster that you see walking in the hallway or on the school crest. It's something that we really try to use in our day-to-day, whether it is with school meetings, in our discovery group process, which is our social emotional learning process, and our public speaking curriculum. We also have a performing arts curriculum. And then with that, we have a set of practices and traditions, and some of which I think are unique. And I'm going to talk about 3 different things today, just as an example that we've had throughout my entire time here. And one is we do introductions and auditions. Introductions are the first night that everyone lands on campus. Everyone introduces themselves, name, age, where they're from, and what grade they're in. And that just sets a tone where you can't stand up and laugh at anybody who's ready to, stand, have the courage to introduce themselves. And that's their first sort of way to present themselves to everyone in the community. And we all do that, faculty, staff, and students as well. And then auditions, you're not actually auditioning for anything, but just this winter when we returned from winter break, we sing a cappella for 45 to 60 seconds in front of everybody. And for some, this is easy. For others, not so much. And the reason we do this is a shared experience where we are getting outside of our comfort zone. We are taking our job seriously, not ourselves. And this is something in which we're supporting each other and also challenging each other to actually stand up and do it. Because as you can imagine, there are a number of people who are very resistant to doing this. And that's something that we've really found has been just a common way and practice and tradition that we valued year to year. The second thing that we do is we have a senior curriculum and we have postgraduates as well. And within this curriculum, we're working towards having every senior graduate by giving a 2-minute speech reflecting on their own character development. And when May and senior spring hits, oftentimes there's a slump. And just here, we don't really have room for that because we engage in what we call senior evaluations. And that's a time in which we're assessing how have we done with our 5 words and 5 principles during our time at Hyde, and also with the vision in terms of where we want our life to go. What are our own personal standards of excellence for who we want to be as people as we go out into the world.
Great. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I wonder if you could post, if you have from your website, those principles that you talked about, it'd be awesome to have you post those in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. I can post the website too.
Great.
Yeah, and
Tad?
then I am curious in the chat if there are what other unique practices and traditions that you all feel you have as a school to build your own culture and community.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Tad, go ahead.
So, in my opinion, there's no magic bullet, right? Culture is such a big thing, and it has an identity in every kind of different school. But for us, it all starts with our staff members. We have over 200 different staff members, and we pride ourselves in hiring good people, people that care about kids, that are willing to go above and beyond to help these kids that historically would not get a quality education, to be able to not only thrive academically but also socially. So the foundation of who we are is our staff. And I think we take a lot of time, and we really work hard finding good people. With that, historically, as an inner city school, we have had kids move into the city from suburban communities, from prep schools, just because of the type of environment that we have created. And you can't put a price on bringing in good people, because they just create such momentum with not only your students, but also other faculty members. And they're also your best recruiters. So when you're looking at hiring people, if you have a person that does exceptionally well, both academically and socially, and they're recommending somebody, you're going to hope, or you're going to assume that that person has a similar characteristic set as the individual that you currently work in your building. So staffing to me is everything, and it is really the foundation of who we are and the kind of culture we've created.
Thank you. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, just to echo what Tad said, and Jen too, it is very important. It's too late in the culture discussion if you're worried about if 5 years in with a staff member and they're the right fit, they're not the right fit. You really got to do that right from the beginning. If you don't have the structure in place for the hiring, for the recruiting, that puts working with kids, ethical behavior at the top, then it won't matter if they're a good math teacher or a science teacher, because the rest of it will fall apart. But the hiring practices are really important. And I know that's in this discussion. We're going to get into it a little later. Some of the practices we've done at the academy, and I'm sure each school on this panel has done certain things to try to make sure we get the right people in.
Yeah, I mean, I do think we need to mention that, teacher shortage is certainly an issue in the US, and I imagine internationally as well. So, I mean, are there some strategies that you have that to even bring in those candidates that are going to be the ones that will, make that culture in your school? Jen, do you have any thoughts? I mean, you're up in Maine. I imagine sometimes it's difficult to find the folks that you want to hire.
Yeah, I would say in the last 2 years, we've had a real challenge post-COVID, just seeing teachers, especially in the boarding school model, be able to step in and not just have a 7 to 3:30 job. Up in Maine, it's challenging. We're going out to hiring conferences. That's been important. And we also use word of mouth. I think that's been a way in which, for those who are thriving here, what university or college did you come from? And are there some students in that department who we may need to hire? And so, in Maine, we have Bates, Bowdoin, Colby, some liberal arts schools where we've had students graduate and come to work for us here. So athletes as well. We've gone out there to just meet and walk into their career development services. So that's been a way, but certainly challenging. I think both in our location geographically, and then also for just what people are looking for and willing to do.
Yeah. Pat, did you have a thought? I'm sorry, you unmuted, so I thought maybe.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Well, again, our staff is our best recruiters, right? So we hire people to lead students and lead our culture. And we use our staff members as kind of the focal point of recruiting additional people throughout the year and for the next year. So I can't tell you how many wives or husbands we have on staff, or cousins, or sons or daughters. We also like to recruit from within. So out of the 200 staff members here at Central, 60 of them are Central graduates. So we try to foster that the culture where, you know, it's great to come back to where you went to high school and give back to your community. And I think that has been extremely effective for us. And anytime there's a Central kid that is looking to get an education and they are certified or they're close to being certified, we try to bring them in as a teacher. If they're not certified, we bring them in as a paraprofessional, which is a teacher helper. And then we foster their growth and make them become and help them become teachers. So it's kind of like an internal developmental system that we've created that's been very effective for us. And those people never leave. If you're a Central graduate, you're here till you retire more often than not.
Okay, Chris, a quick comment, and then we're going to get Özge and Nilüfer into the conversation.
No,
Go
absolutely. No, absolutely. And I agree with Tad. So, well, just one quick strategy, because I like going to these and coming with a strategy. When we have an opening, we broadcast that to our staff ahead of time. Hey, we are looking for this teacher. And all of our teachers have great networks. And Tad's right. If they're out there recruiting for you, it adds a positive. No one gets there and says, come to my job, it sucks. Right? They're out there saying, I have a great place to work. It's awesome to work here. You should come. And something simple we did, we give everyone a $500 incentive. So if you bring us a name and we actually hire them, it's $500. If you do the math in your head of how much you pay to advertise to hire somebody, that $500 incentive, which is a small dollar amount, but has done wonders to increase the number of applicants we get and for our staff recruiting for us. So I would agree, and I would recommend it's been great success for us.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So Nilüfer, do you have a thought on this question, or I was going to move to the next question? If not, go ahead.
Well, actually, just a small thing. Recruitment strategies are very important, yes, for the school. From my point of view, from my context, professional learning opportunities are very attractive for this process and very important. But the real job starts after hiring a teacher. You know, how to help those teachers, how to create an environment, supportive environment. These are also very important. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great thought. And the next question we were going to talk about are, what are some additional benefits beyond monetary compensation? Because we can't always give people more money. But what additional benefits can schools offer to attract and retain high quality teachers? So Nilüfer, why don't you start that conversation?
Okay, well, schools can emphasize again professional development opportunities, for example, providing access to workshops, conferences, and advanced courses. This is very important, and this can allow teachers to stay updated with the latest educational research, and also offering clear pathways, career pathways. For career progression might be useful. For example, mentorship roles, leadership positions. This can motivate teachers to remain within the institution. Fostering a culture of collaboration among staff. This is also very important. In addition, providing strong support from school leaders or department heads can help teachers navigate challenges and feel valued in their roles. Moreover, reducing maybe class sizes, if possible, or where possible. Student-teacher ratio can enhance instruction quality, and also ensuring teachers have access to technological tools nowadays, like smart boards, laptops, and interactive learning platforms, and necessary technological resources, AI technologies, for example.
Wonderful. Thank you. Özge?
Hi. Sorry. We also feel like the well-being of the teacher must be a priority. There can be maybe optional working hours like early release days or late coming options. For example, in our school, we have for each semester a 3-day excused absence for a teacher that really is used, and teachers are happy about it. We can also offer some sabbaticals for those who have completed certain number of years of experience in the same institution. Or we can provide some counseling services, wellness programs, or mindfulness, trainings. And also, it's very important to allocate the necessary time for the teacher to be able to complete the work at school and then be free in their afternoon and spend time with their family. So the reasonable number of hours is also very crucial. And another aspect is, I think, appreciation and recognition. If we can do this, we can boost the teacher morale and job satisfaction. And there may be some financial additional benefits like a teacher's child education. In Turkey, we are a private school and tuitions are very high, and most of the teachers prefer having their children in the school, and that is quite a positive aspect to retain the teacher. And also positive feedback culture and positing and maintaining a positive environment in the school is important. Also, we would like to give teachers autonomy for their professional development strategies. If they want to, let's say, open a different elective course, we give them the option to get the training about it. They have the option to apply for it. And like additional benefits as insurance or retirement or health are also very crucial. Thank you.
Those are wonderful. I mean, that was like a list of strategies, right? And what I'm hearing is sort of that flexibility, giving them some extra time off when they need it, the ability to make choices about their professional development and really be able to do things that they think are interesting to them, and really having a little bit of autonomy and being able to flex their day if they need to. Those sound like really great strategies. Tad?
Allison, can I add something?
Yeah.
For us, it's ownership. Having ownership in the decision-making processes throughout the building.
Okay.
We hire these people because they're experts in their field. And when people feel that they have decision-making processes or decision-making authority in the building, no matter how big or small, they have ownership in the community, which allows them to feel valued, allows them to feel wanted, and that creates for us a culture of accountability. And that's something that we pride ourselves, no matter where you are, from a first-year teacher to a 25-year-old veteran, we try to give people ownership in what they're in their area, so they have the decision-making processes, decision-making ability, and giving them the ability to just have more accountability and buy-in in what you're trying to accomplish.
I love that. There was a question in the Q&A a little bit about teacher burnout. And I think that would be, one of the strategies to help with teacher burnout is giving them that opportunity to weigh in, making them feel like they have a voice, like they have some kind of autonomy over their work and what they're doing. That's a really great thought. Chris or Jen, other thoughts in that vein? Chris, go ahead.
Sure, I'll jump on what everyone else is saying. Voice is important. I'll just give you two tangible examples. We actually have two subcommittees of our board that are advisory that teachers sit on, right? An academic committee and a student life committee. It's, again, all our boards are advisory, but it does give that voice where the teachers then choose who they want to be on those boards for a 2-year rotation. We also changed our hiring practices where we pulled it out of the departments. We have a school-wide hiring committee that's been trained. And so there's a math teacher really hiring a PE teacher or a science teacher, right? So that it is more, this is what we're looking for and not individualized. We have a lot of committees. Sometimes I think as a head, there's too many, right? Sometimes there could be too many committees, but it does give a lot of voice. And then the last piece of that is really important, that you ask the person to be on that committee. Don't send out an email saying, hey, we're starting a committee on employee council, who wants to be in it? Target those 4 or 5 people. Those individual conversations are huge for a teacher, that they're being recognized, they're being valued, and someone in authority is asking them that and telling them their opinion matters. That's a very important piece in the committee membership and developing what these committees are.
Yeah, thank you. I think that interview process, that hiring process, there are several questions in the Q&A about how do you find the right person? Like, what is your hiring process? So that might be interesting also. Do you just do questions? Do you have them teach a lesson? Like, how do you know that you found the right person? Jen, do you have a thought on that? And then we can ask him.
Yeah, we'll have an entire day interview where we do want people to come to campus prior, now that we've got a Zoom culture. So we're able to meet before we're able to meet face to face. But a really important component that I've found to the interview process is we have a group of students who are also in that, especially students who are going to return into the next year. So for example, we're looking to hire an English teacher, junior English teacher. So for when that candidate comes to campus, I'll talk to the sophomores who are here and who are looking for a valuable relationship. So I do think that's important. We do have teachers also teach a lesson where we give them a little bit of time. And so you can see what they look like in the classroom. And again, not only hearing the teacher who's maybe departing or the department head of that curriculum, but also asking student input, because that's a part of the whole culture. And when someone comes into our community, yes, we're looking for a certain mastery in content, but also somebody who is going to be someone who wants to connect with kids in general and also, be on their own personal journey of self-discovery as well, professionally. But that's all I would add to that piece.
That's wonderful. Ozge, do you have any thoughts on that in terms of your hiring process and how you make sure you get the right people?
Yes, at school also similar to what Jen said, we have this demo lesson practice, and it's important to see the teacher. We would like to see the connection with the students as well. Even a 40-minute lesson gives you a good idea of that teacher profile. And also we have meetings with department teachers and the school principal and related people. And afterwards we have the HR policies, maybe some character analysis tests that we offer to the candidates in the shortlist.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chris?
Yeah, I think it's, again, what we've done here is very similar to developing a lesson, right? You really need to start with the type of teacher you want, and then you build the interview process for that. So it changes, it varies a lot, right? So if the science department, we really need this type of teacher, the culture in that science department looks like this, we really need to make a change, then we build what that looks like. The activity aligns to what the end result is. A lot of people start with the questions. These are great questions. Let's ask all the candidates this, but it has nothing to do with what you really want, right? So you really got to start, this is what I'm looking for. This is the type of teacher, the type of personality, the type of human, and then you build that culture for that. Teaching lesson is a key component of that for obvious reasons, but questions and tours and all the other stuff really relates to the type of individual you're trying to hire. But again, if you do it right, you're getting the right people in the door because your staff is recruiting the right people. They only want to work with people that they know that are good. No one recruits a dud, for the most part, right? They're going to recruit someone that they want to work with. So if you recruit correctly, the hiring process is a lot easier because the person coming in is already a step above and is already following the mantra of what you're trying to get for all your staff to do.
All right, Tad, last thought on this
So
topic.
we start our hiring practice in December for the following year. So if we know there's going to be an opening or we have a retirement, we'll start the recruiting process very early. And we're in a unique situation. We're in a big district, so we have other schools, and there's a transfer process where staff members can transfer into your building and then out of your building. Thankfully, we rarely, if ever, have people transfer out, but we have a lot of people that try to transfer in. So when we know there's going to be a physics opening or a physics retirement in June and it's December, we start looking, whether it be, asking our department chairs or our instructional leadership specialists, do you know anybody in other schools or in other districts? So I think organically that really gives us a heads up on the competition, and I'll say other schools as competition for that employee. And then we just start a process organically, with an email, reach out, a phone call, and just get to know the person, because like everybody has been saying, we want to hire the best people. And that gives us, because they're professional interviewers that come in on a yearly basis that have been through X number of job interviews, and they interview very well, but they may not be what you're looking for. So we try to extend the process and really get to know somebody before we make the final decision.
Okay, wonderful. All right, let's move on. Another question that we had charted for today was, what strategies would you suggest for addressing low teacher morale that stems from student engagement or behavior challenges? We know that our students can sometimes be difficult to deal with, and they are adolescents, they're children. So how do we help students, or how do we help teachers with their morale around those behavior challenges? Tad, why don't you start, and then we can.
I was always told we're not responsible for individuals' morale, right? But I think we can do a lot to support our staff, and I think that's pretty much the foundation of our successes. We support our staff members. So if there's an issue with a kid, if there's an issue with something going on in a classroom, we're there, and we don't let that go until it's resolved. We bring in the parents, we bring in other support systems to help this individual kind of get on the right path. We also start, which I think has been very effective, because a teacher's only as good as how they're feeling, and they're people also. So they have families, they have lives outside of the building. When we start the school year, I always say their family is their number one priority. Whatever is going on in their home life, that is their number one priority, regardless of what their job entails. They need to take care of themselves as a person and their families first. And if there's an issue at home, let me know, and we'll do everything we can to take care of their teaching responsibilities while they tend to their needs at home. And I think that alleviates, because we have a lot of young teachers with young families, alleviates a lot of pressure of trying to juggle both personal and professional environments. And you're only as good as your word. And once they see you doing that and taking care of staff members as they're kind of trying to right their home life, I think it's a huge morale boost knowing that they're supported, because everybody at some time is going to need that assistance. And when you can go above and beyond to ensure that they're okay as people, you'll be surprised what can happen in your building.
Yeah, that's huge. Thank you. And I think that also answers our last question, which is, what additional benefits beyond monetary compensation can schools offer, right? And what you're talking about is really that human approach of like, I care about you as a person, I care about your family, I care about how you're doing, and I want to be able to attend to you as well as, you as an employee. I want to be able to attend to you as a person. And I think that's huge. I know when I was a principal, I always felt very privileged to be a part of people's lives and to hear about all the good things that were happening in my teachers' lives, but also the really hard things, and like walking through hard things with staff members and helping them to feel supported. I think also what you talked about at the beginning was having that support system in school, so that when things do go wrong with students, you can back them up, right? I mean, there's nothing worse than a teacher sending a student out and the student coming back 10 minutes later and them feeling like, well, why did I even do that, right? So the systems that we have in place to be able to help students work through difficult behavior, and being consistent with those systems, making sure that they are working every time so that teachers don't feel like they're kind of, fighting an uphill battle. Niloufer, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, yes, I believe there should be school-wide behavior policies, especially for the behavior challenges. And students and parents, they should know these policies in advance. And the students, parents, and the school community, all of them should agree on these, policies. And also, especially school leaders, they should be visible, responsible, and actively involved in addressing discipline challenges if we're talking about a student behavior like that, for example. And of course, maybe mentoring and or coaching strategies might be helpful for behavior management strategies.
Yeah. I just want to say somebody just posted in the chat, Mimi, and I think this is amazing. She said, we have wellness walkouts as a way of saying thank you for all they do. It's a coupon to take either as a late start or an early release. Admin or other teachers cover for that staff person, just one of many non-money incentives. Yeah, I mean, again, that flexibility and treating people, looking at them as a whole person and a whole human being, rather than just someone who's doing their job every day. That's huge. Other thoughts on this topic? Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, I think Tad and both Tad and Newfer touched upon this. Definitely the time is valuable. Also that team approach, and Chris addressed this earlier, where feeling valued and supported is huge. So if you're, especially here at a small boarding school, we're able to have a more team approach when it comes to behavioral issues. And we're also of the belief that the home and the family is the primary classroom. So there does need to be a triad of, the student, the teacher, and the family context as well. And teachers here, I think, and Nufra talked about the importance of an orientation at the beginning of the year, but having mentors, if you're a younger teacher or a newer teacher in a school community, having mentors to have someone who you can go to for that support, and know that you're not in it alone to work with a student's particular attitude or behavior that continues to be a struggle. So I know that in my day-to-day, if I'm having a hard time with behavior or attitude, I'm not alone in that journey and dealing with a student. And then it's also really important to bring the family involved in that, and that's a huge value that we place on here, because a student isn't really going to be able to move forward until you're able to address, okay, what is the attitude going on, and how can we move forward. And sometimes a teacher, it's jarring when you're confronted with that also on a consistent basis. And so, having spaces in which you can, okay, set aside. We also have targeted student meetings. So a student might show something in my class, but in Tad's class, they're showing something completely different. And so we have a team approach. Either the student will be in the meeting or they won't be in the meeting for the initial, where we work with a co-curricular aspect of just how are we working with that student's attitude and addressing their behavior, which I think, again, it's that value and team approach.
Wonderful. Thanks. Chris?
Just another tangible example. Actually, Blythe wrote it in the chat, which made me think of it. We actually approached our insurance company. Some of you actually may already have this. And we started a wellness committee, again, faculty voice, staff voice, and they give us $10,000 a year for this wellness committee. We have Blue Cross Blue Shield. I don't know if it's part of your policy or whatever, but we talked when we renewed our contract with them. That was a part of it, was we came up with wellness, and they give us money every year, which gives them, again, $10,000. Not a lot of money, but some simple things they do. We pay students to make, in the foods program, they actually make dinner twice a year for our staff. You can go and, like it was chicken Parmesan as an example or something, and you can go pick it up and go home with it. So there's little things that we do for our staff. But again, the budget came from our insurance company, just putting out there as a thought for other people that may want to engage with them.
Yeah, wonderful. I think too, going back to that idea of getting teacher voice in the conversation. So asking them, what do you need? Like, what would make your job better? What would make, things easier for you? I think that communication piece is really important as well. Like making sure that you're talking with teachers and getting their thoughts and the things that they feel like would be helpful. Tad?
Actually, one more thing, Alice. Also think consistency is very important. Knowing that if there's an infraction that takes place, it's going to be handled the same whether the person's a 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grader. We
Sure.
have 8 administrators. We're very consistent from the moment the kids walk in the door at 6:50 in the morning to the moment they leave at 2:20. And in the classroom, kids know if they have a phone out, this is going to happen, or if they are late to class, this is going to happen. And having that consistency, I think, first of all, alleviates a lot of the issues because the kids know what the expectation is. But also, I think, helps with the morale of the teacher because they're not burdened by, this person did this discipline action, this person didn't do anything. We're consistent across the board. If somebody's not doing that, then they come see me and I do my best to address it immediately.
Wonderful. All right, our time is moving fast as we know it would. So I want to transition to professional development because I think that was an important piece that we wanted to talk about. So, and I'm going to let Özge and Nuala first start with this one. How do you ensure equity in professional growth and advancement opportunities for all teachers? And in what ways does this contribute to a more inclusive and sustainable school culture? I know that your school has a very well-developed professional development program. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Nuala first?
Okay, for the first part of this question, how do we ensure equity in professional growth? This is very important. Well, there may be systems related to professional learning in a school. A committee or a center can manage this process. At our school, as you mentioned, we have a center, professional learning center. And the governance of this structure should be inclusive. In our school, we have a center, as I mentioned before, dedicated to this, and academic and administrative staff from different departments within the school serve in the center, ensuring that everyone is represented well at this center. And of course, the school's mission, vision, values, and strategies plan should be on the table all the time while we are working at this center. There must be some systems at this center so that we could ensure equity in this topic. For example, offering multidimensional professional learning programs in various fields is very important. These programs should be offered in various formats, including online, face-to-face, hybrid, synchronized, or asynchronized. And also, the school must have a dedicated budget for all these professional learning programs. As I mentioned before, system is very important. For example, at ESAR, there is a form open to all school employees where they can apply for professional learning programs whenever they need. With this system, teachers have equal access to training opportunities using this form. Conducting needs analysis is another way to ensure equity. Meeting with departments are also very important while, talking about these needs. And all these inputs from the teachers, from the school administrations, from the school's executive committee should be evaluated carefully, and then a comprehensive plan should be developed. With this center, we experienced that professional learning opportunities enhance institutional commitment and positive school culture.
Wonderful. Yeah. So we know you have a very developed program, but I like some of those ideas of giving people choice, making sure there's equity across different departments, giving lots of different kinds of opportunities, but also making sure those opportunities are aligned with your strategic mission in terms of the things that that you want teachers to develop to be better teachers in your school. Özge, do you have a thought?
Yes, I think also having professional learning communities within the school and outside the school are very important. For example, we have collaborations with some colleges in Turkey, outside Turkey, and also NGOs that we get support with their, let's say, doctorate programs or other higher educational courses. And also we have school meeting times where couple of teachers teach a topic to others, so teachers learn from teachers. We present some of these at other conferences nationally, internationally, but also we value teachers learning from each other and coaching each other at the school. And this continuous development of teachers give them the positive environment in the school, and they feel well valued and they feel supported. I think the strategies of the school must be aligned with the school culture as well. One thing that works with one school may not work with the other, so you have to know your staff very well and know what they need so that you can offer the best opportunities that you can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I love that thought of, I mean, how do we teach each other, work together, share our best ideas, whether through professional learning communities or, groups of practice, like those are also really important thoughts. Chris, Jen, Tad, any of you want to speak to professional development in the context of your school? Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, just very quickly, I agree with everything that was said. The budget's important. We do two things. Again, just some examples of what we do. We have a school-wide budget for professional development that we kind of guide. Then we also make $500 available for every staff member to do what they want. So it's much more individualized. That ranges from, a small conference locally, something NEASC may be putting on. So we try to individualize it. It has to, again, align to what we're doing as a school, but it does allow a little more power for the individual. And we do talk about that in the hiring practice, right? It is important that they know that we're investing in them as individuals through that process. They're not just coming here, we're going to leave them alone. There is a connection all the way through, and having all the school committees on professional development and professional learning are key in addition to that. But making sure that they do have some individualized power to make decisions in their PD is really important. $500 is a lot of money for some of the conferences that are free, and most people don't spend it. But from the school leader perspective, you can also see who's not spending any of their PD money, which allows a conversation to happen to say, hey, for 3 years, you haven't invested in yourself. And that allows another data point to have another conversation with that staff member.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Tad, and then
So we're a
Jennifer.
little different because we're part of a large organization, and a lot of the PD where it could, we talked about morale a little earlier, kind of is top down, in which each department has a set curriculum that more often than not is paid for by the district, so they receive professional development on that curriculum, whether it be Study Sync or Open SciEd or Agile Minds for math. So the trick is to get our staff members to buy into a curriculum and a professional development that's kind of told to them, and still understand that they do have the autonomy, and to make decisions in their classroom because they're treated as professionals. So that's kind of a unique challenge for us. It's the reality, but I think we do a good job with these other things that were discussed today to try to push the ball forward, getting our staff members to buy into this district-based professional development to the best of their ability, because they like where they work, they feel supported, and they feel a valued part of a larger organization.
Yeah. Jen, last thoughts on this, and then we're going to have to wrap up. We'll have to go closing thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, just briefly, all really great ideas. I love that. And something, as Dean of Faculty, I've unfortunately had to think about this year is our budget and how to allocate that. And so I've just been wrapping my head around, okay, well, what is free PD and what does that look like? And then the best advice I got was to join a NEASC accreditation team and go and visit another school and see what they're doing. And just as a result, the collaboration that just came from that, even, now we have a date on the schedule with Maine independent boarding schools to come together for educators and administrators as well, where we're going to have a summit that we have planned for twice this year. And so it can sometimes be a stress just financially to offer all this PD. And so just where can you really boost somebody's, their professional development in a free and effective way where you're collaborating with other kind of like-minded schools in the area. Was that all I wanted to add?
No, that's perfect. Well, I mean, obviously, we appreciate you adding that because that's a huge part of our process. But and I would agree with you, and I've heard that from many, many teachers that this is one of the best professional development experiences they've ever had. And I think, thinking about professional development, it is those courses and those opportunities, but it's also the conversations, right? And I think that when you get teachers together in a room, they can have those conversations, whether it's, around a particular lesson that someone is teaching, or whether it's around an article or a book that they've read. Like, I mean, I think a lot of it is really how we treat teachers. And I love, I think echoed in the chat what Chris said, they have to invest in themselves and want to be able to improve their craft. Like, we're all working on a growth mindset. Teachers, students, administrators, we're all looking at ways that we can become better, and trying to provide opportunities for that. All right, so we have about 9 minutes left. I think it would be super interesting just to think about sort of, what are your top 3 things that you would say to our audience today in terms of, teacher morale, teacher retention, building a positive culture among your staff. What are three things that you would recommend that folks go out and do immediately if they wanted to do that? So Tad, I'm gonna start with you.
Well, the first thing I think obviously is do your homework and hire good people, not necessarily resumes. Again, we talked about the professional interviewers, and you want to hire good people that are truly there for the right reasons. I read a study about how people make friends, and the study pretty much boiled down to the people with the most friends are the people that have put themselves out there and say hi to them or talk to the most people in the school. So for me, I try to talk to as many staff members as I can daily. I try to see them, not necessarily professionally, but just to try to either say hi, how you doing, how's the classes, how's your family, just to kind of build that relationship. And that in turn, I think creates a bond where they don't want to let me down and I don't want to let them down. So try to be as personable as possible with your staff. And then the final thing that I can add, and I think we do really well, is everybody is at the same level. Everybody has different responsibilities, but we're all at the same level. And it's our responsibility to do our job to the best of our ability. So I'm in the lunchroom 2 hours a day. At dismissal. I'm at, when students come into the building, I pick up trash, I empty the trash barrels. People see that and they say, if he's doing that, then I should do that also. Kids see it, families see it. So nobody's any more or less important than anybody else. Hire good people and just be a nice person and try to make those personal connections with your staff as much as possible. And I think that's kind of a winning strategy, and let them know that they're valued as people and their families their number one priority. I think that's a winning strategy. And there's no magic solution, right? It's all these things that we've talked about for the last hour and more.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Özge, do you want to go next?
I totally agree with what Ted says. In addition, I think the key features to maintain a positive school culture is one part teaching well-being, the other part is student well-being, and the maybe final part is actually the positive communication. So just keeping in mind, trying to be helpful. How can I help you? What do you need to the student, to the teachers? I think that's the key point. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, I would echo the comments, and it all does start with the hiring process. And you can't just throw the ad up anymore and think get 10 applicants. It is hard. You have to get the people in the door, and we have like Tad, we have 200 employees at the academy. We send out an email. We are looking for a social studies teacher. We now get 5 to 10 applicants for every position because our people are doing the recruiting. And then the last comment is change your hiring practice to align with what you're looking for. Too many times people say they start with the questions first, that's the last place you should start. Find out the type of person you want and then work backwards from there. Just like we tell our teachers with designing instruction. We're not going to get into all that here, but you could kind of go start with where they're going to end up and then you design the instruction around that. If you hire correctly, the rest of the stuff is a lot easier. And the last comment, don't be afraid to fire somebody. There are cancers in our staff. Let them go. It's just the reality of our business, right? And not everything is perfect, and we're not really always perfect with hiring, but it's okay also to let people go. And I do thank everyone for listening. And if you have any more questions after, you can definitely email me or you can connect me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Awesome. Thank you. Jen and then Niloufer.
Yeah, in addition, maybe I'm going to speak more to the retention. I think, Chris, you addressed the hiring piece and Tad as well. I think appreciation and recognition, so a faculty member feels valued, as well as, whether that's with their time or room for their own growth, both professionally and personally. I think that's really key, as they're felt as a member of the community. And then room for an opportunity for growth within your educational community, I think is really important, that they see that, okay, I'm a valued member of this team, and that someone is mentoring me as someone who is going to continue to move this community and culture forward.
Wonderful. Thank you. Niloufer, last word.
I agree that hire good people, but I'm telling this, hire and keep good teachers. Same time. This is very important. Whatever the strategy we followed, we created for the school, I mean, for hiring, for retention, for professional learning, for any concept at the school, this strategy, I believe, must be related with the school mission, vision, strategic plan, and culture. This is very important. Otherwise, as Peter Drucker said, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, and this idea of communication and everyone sort of seeing the vision, right? And the one thing we haven't mentioned, but I think is very obvious from this call, is the role of school leadership in keeping and retaining teachers. I think that having the right school leader in place makes a huge difference in terms of supporting and making people feel valued, making people feel appreciated. It is important, as was said in the chat, that we have those lines of, you know, I'm the supervisor, you're a teacher, but I do think that we can do that and still have positive and strong relationships with our teachers and let them know that we value them as people and individuals. So many great thoughts shared on the call today. I want to thank all of our panelists for joining us.
Thank you again to all of our panelists today. Just an incredible conversation. And also thank you to all you for joining us today. We checked the chat and we had representation from over 70 countries, including the United States. So again, I thank you very much for joining today. And again, one last thank you to all our incredible panelists.